introduce an accomplished academician, Professor Sirin Tekinay, our keynote speaker to this conference. Despite her busy schedule, she has spared her valuable time for us. Professor, we are indebted to you. On behalf of everybody present here, Professor Sirin, I welcome you to this conference. Now, I have to give a brief introduction of Professor Sirin. Brief is not possible for such an accomplished personality of academics. However, I will try to put it very brief and crispy. Professor Sirin joined American University of Sharjah as a Dean of Engineering in February 2020. And she has held posts of academic administration as Dean Engineering and Natural Sciences, Vice President for Research and Development, Rector and Director during the last decade. Prior to her tenure in Istanbul, last decade, she lived in the United States where she served as Program Director at the U.S. National Science Foundation. She was tenured faculty at the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, New Jersey Institute of Technology, and Director of NJ Center for Wireless Telecommunication. She is elected 1921 Chair of Global Engineering Dean's Council and a board member of the European Society for Engineering Education. Before starting her academic career, she was a researcher at Bell Laboratories. Dean Tekinay holds PhD degree in Electrical and Computer Engineering from Georgetown University, Virginia, and MS and PhD degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Boğaziçi University, Istanbul. Professor Tekinay holds 9 patents and has authored numerous publications in her field. She has graduated 6 doctoral students. Her areas of interest include network science, mobile networks, sensor networks, and applications. She founded the first digital local fabrication laboratory in Turkey, Fab Lab in Istanbul, and has helped develop the next Fab Labs in the country. Sharjah University was the fourth and best equipped laboratory Fab Lab in Turkey. She also started the first comprehensive program in urban engineering, research and education. She is one of the pioneers of the 5-dimensional STEAM. STEAM means science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics approach to education and research, in addition to the multidisciplinary lines of study, innovation and entrepreneurship, and the maker movement through Fab Labs. In the global arena, she is the member of European Engineers Dean's Council. She is a consultant expert reviewer for the European Commission on Science and Technology. She sits as elected member on the board of directors of the European Society for Engineering Education and on the executive committee of the Global Engineering Deans. Nationally, she is an honorary member of the board of Beyaz Nokta Development Foundation and a member of the advisory board of Women Entrepreneurs Association of Turkey. With this brief introduction, once again I welcome Madam to this session. Thank you very much. Now I hand over the mic to Jangana for further proceedings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, for your kind gesture. This session is live on YouTube for all the participants and attendees. I very humbly invite Dr. Sirin to take over the session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so very much for the wonderful introduction. I'm delighted to be here. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the sponsors and the organizers of this wonderful event, especially my esteemed colleague, Professor Indrajit Patel, whose invitation with the topic of International Conference on Research and Innovation in Science, Engineering and Technology was one that I received with great gladness, and I am very happy to share this time with you. The invitation, of course, had Gujarat, India underneath. Gujarat is dear to my heart, and India is dear to my heart, a special country. So let me extend a special greeting, although we're globally connected, to that area that's an extremely special place on earth. It feels like I'm closer there now, and that's a very fulfilling feeling. So thank you very much. Of course, this is an online event, and we are all bound by the restrictions of the latest pandemic, I will try to avoid talking about the pandemic well into my presentation, and then I'll have to give in. The topic of my presentation is globalization of education, with the theme of responding to the challenges of globalization through science, engineering, and technology innovations, same as the conference. This area, of course, is dear to our hearts. And once again, before I stop talking about the pandemic for at least 20 minutes, let me just say we're not socially distanced. We're globally ever more tightly connected, except we're physically distanced. With that in mind, let me go into what has been happening in globalization of education, especially in the relevant fields of science, technology, and engineering. Allow me to present my screen. If I could get a confirmation from you that you can see well my screen.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Very good. I'm going into the slideshow mode. All right. So I'm starting with a title slide with the photo of my campus where I'm hailing you from, the sunny state of Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. This is our campus, albeit it's quite empty these days. We're missing our students, we're missing our colleagues. It's sparsely populated, to say the least, but we will overcome the current conditions and hopefully overcome the challenging circumstances. Now, the vision is the continuation of life on the planet, making our world more sustainable, secure, healthy, and joyful. 4 pillars. Whose vision is this? And why is there a photo of a pretty coral reef? Well, the coral reef represents the whole world, where parts of it cannot be isolated, cannot survive in isolation. And when you try to isolate parts of it, the whole thing gets wounded, and the part you've isolated does not live. So it's very symbolic of how we globally should pull together. This is a theme that has been increasingly obvious to us since the turn of the century. So with this in mind, let's go back to the vision statement. It's continuation of life on the planet, not human life, life on the planet, because we cannot be isolated. Making our world more sustainable, secure, healthy, and joyful. The folks who wrote these words down, wrote them down in 2008. That was the United States National Academy of Engineering that put together the grand challenges of engineering for the 21st century, 2008. Now we find ourselves in science, technology, and engineering. We need to reload some of the questions. We always asked, what do engineers do? What do scientists do? I think we need to change that from the traditional answer to the question to what must we do? Things have changed. Our fields have evolved to different questions, to different challenges. What do engineers do? Had answers about 100 years ago. We build bridges. We make things. We do mechanics. We illuminate buildings. That is no longer the case. What we must do is a lot more complex, a lot more urgent, and a lot more global. And then there is the question of who should be an engineer or a scientist? You must have a mind for math. No, you must really like science, things and physics and this and that. We cannot classify people into who can be an engineer or a scientist. We need everybody. The question is, who should the engineer and scientist of the 21st century be? So it's on the educational institutions. It's the educational institutions that should raise the required workforce out of all of our children, without saying you have a good mind for math, you're right-brained, you're left-brained. We need to pull together all of the innovativeness, all of the creativity, all the critical thinking of all of our children. And finally, with all of these in mind, what do schools teach? What do universities teach? What do they teach in electrical engineering? That is no longer the question. How must we teach is important. Because what we teach in school will become obsolete very soon. Our students have, hopefully longer, but an average lifespan of 100 years. We'll graduate them out of universities with their degrees in science and technology and engineering when they're 20, 22, 23, when they're at 1/5 to 1/4 of their lifespan. Which part of engineering or science lasted that long to serve someone's career for 80 years? We need to teach them not what to learn, but how to learn. They have to learn. We all have to learn lifelong. So how do we do that? Well, the international networks of collaboration help. The Global Engineering Deans Council, I will talk to you about, has been formed in 2008. The same year that vision statement was written down, the same year the grand challenges of engineering were formulated. And then there are other regional and national networks of collaboration of engineering, of science education. And then we have to take this from the global scale all the way to local contributions and individual education and development. Now, without further ado, let me tackle the questions. What must we do? As I mentioned, in 2008, the grand challenges of engineering were formulated. Rumor has it, the US National Academy of Engineering was summoned to write a book on the successes of the engineering field during the 20th century. It turned out what they wanted to put down in paper gave rise to a lot of new questions. So instead, they formulated the grand challenges of engineering. Let's take a look at these grand challenges. We have solar energy, we have the nitrogen cycle, we have access to clean water, we have personalized learning, we have secure cyberspace, we have urban infrastructure, informatics, health informatics. None of these belong to one discipline of science or engineering. They are pretty much all multidisciplinary. So that's one striking aspect of the grand challenges of engineering for the 21st century. So we must pull multidisciplinary teams together to tackle these challenges. Some 8 years later, January 1st, 2016, the United Nations announced the Sustainable Development Goals that must be met by 2030 globally, so that continuation of life on our planet, making it more sustainable, healthy, safe, and joyful, can happen. In other words, peace on earth can actually be achieved if we meet these sustainable development goals. It's tall order. Let's take a look at them. Again, we have energy, we have water, we have health. It's as if the 2008 Grand Challenges poses a list of precursors to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Much like we have social sciences here, in the Sustainable Development Goals, none of the Sustainable Development Goals can be met without science, technology, and engineering. They're either completely science, technology, and engineering problems, or they have large components that need to be solved by scientists and engineers. Having said this, later, the university's role in meeting these challenges for 2030 became obvious. So the United Nations started the United Academic Impact Network across the globe. Some 1,200 universities have subscribed by reporting on what they're doing towards the Sustainable Development Goals in terms of educating the workforce, in terms of the research and development towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Independently of the United Nations academic impact, Times Higher Education, the ranking system for universities, started a whole new ranking system, quite different than the traditional ranking system that takes in as criteria from universities the number of papers published and the citations and the number of graduates. They're now looking into the impact universities make along the way towards Sustainable Development Goals. This is extremely important. Now the 21st century education system is getting reshaped and getting measured against a different kind of scale. Going back to 2008, the same year grand challenges were defined, a few good men and women got together to form the Global Engineering Deans Council. The precursors, the preparations were in place for about a couple of years. The inauguration happened in Paris when these 27 folks signed the inaugural declaration. We call it the Paris Declaration. It was published in some 14 languages. In short, there is a call to planet-wide action, recognizing that our planet, life on our planet, is facing bigger challenges than ever, and there is a lot at risk, like our health, like our joy, like our safety, and therefore the sustainability of life on our planet is at risk. Here is the declaration. The goals are cited as providing a platform to share best practices, to form collaborations, to empower engineering academic leaders of engineering, to make more socioeconomic impact. This is way before the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or the United Nations academic impact. To make sure that there is mobility across the globe of ideas, of people, and to make sure local contributions happen at a global standard. Therefore, accreditation systems are a big part of the Global Engineering Deans Council, like ABET. Here is a respectful nod to the founders of the Global Engineering Deans Council. The 27 folks that started the Global Engineering Deans Council came from all over the world. Every continent was represented, albeit with one or two people. Now we have about 500 members from about 50 countries and counting. 10 years later, we knew our mission so well, we absorbed it, internalized it so well, that the 10th anniversary was celebrated with the theme of peace engineering. Now, peace sounds like the social scientists' bread and butter. It really is the engineers, the scientists' responsibility, because peace has sustainability in its heart. And without meeting the Sustainable Development Goals, we will not have peace on Earth. So peace engineering is using engineering tools and approaches of course based in scientific foundation, in order to bring about the Sustainable Development Goals. It was a wonderful celebration of what it is that we stand for. Who are we teaching? Let's talk about our students. Who should the engineer be? Before that, let me go back to the Paris Declaration. I know it's very fine print, but what the Paris Declaration says is that the person we should be raising is the adaptive engineering leader, someone who can tackle a multidimensional, multidisciplinary multitude of challenges. Let's keep that in mind. Is it one individual or is it teams of scientists and engineers? Who are we trying to raise as engineers? Let's look at our students. Most of our students are Generation Z at universities today. They were born completely within the technological age. And of course, they've been bombarded with messages of terror, and they're in the heart of war on terror. They're very much into multiculturalism. It comes naturally to them, a lot more than the older generations. It's the first truly connected generation. It's the first truly global culture that they share. And therefore, they're the most open-minded generation. I've been tested by my students, and they agreed to this. Now let's look at Generation Alpha. By the way, before Generation Alpha, generations that we label with the letters of the alphabet used to come at about 20 plus years from each other, sort of thinking of the actual generational gap between the letters, meaning they'd be the children of. We no longer label generations as such because Generation Alpha are not necessarily the children of Generation Z. There is very little age difference between the two. The reason we're labeling a new generation is because of the difference in mentality, culture, and world that they live in that differentiates them. They're everything the Z generation is in terms of being globally connected, multicultural, of the technological age, but they're also activists. Their activism spans the globe. We all know this little girl who's now 17 years old, and she started the kind of movement across the globe that probably only a virus could overshadow. Generation Alpha started with climate change and the reaction to climate change. But of course, what they said, the underlying message was always, listen to the science. I'm very proud of them, very hopeful of our future. That they're angry and they're anxious is their fuel to study science, to do innovations. So yes, who should the engineer be? Capable of addressing multiple challenges in an ever-changing world. These words are ever more relevant today than when they were back in 2008. Now, we always talk about the T-shaped engineer, meaning the disciplinary expertise should be deep and the expertise of the engineer should be well formulated. But we also have the interdisciplinary part, the multidisciplinary part, the capability to talk to others outside of their discipline. Now, even this is not enough. Remember, we're talking about a 4-year curriculum that used to be just this. Now we are adding in multidisciplinarity. And we're saying that's not enough. We're saying there are soft skills needed that we need to add, such as leadership, adaptability, resilience, continuous learning, and purpose. Now, continuous learning is what will make all this possible. We cannot have this super engineer raised out of every student within 4 years. So continuous learning is a must for all of our lives. And we cannot make every student into this pie-shaped superhuman. What we need is this kind of an evolution where the last person here is the collaborative person. It's not one person, it's a team. With all of that, we come to how must we teach? We need practice and education together. No more can we afford to have our students asking what life after school will be like. Industry, employers have to go hand in hand with educational institutions in order to raise the human resource that we need. International collaboration is a must. The world does not recognize national boundaries anymore. Science does not recognize national boundaries anymore. Our students don't. The Z generation doesn't, and the alphas certainly don't. We need to go hand in hand. We need to empower our students to be entrepreneurs, technology-based, innovation-based entrepreneurs. Does that mean they should all go out and start their own business? Not necessarily. Large engineering employers are recognizing that the entrepreneurial spirit is of use to their large companies. So they're basing their business models on entrepreneurship, empowering their researchers, their developers to come up with their innovations and to pursue them within the company, cushioning them with the infrastructure of their company in order to have new business ideas, new products, new services, and new solutions. Design thinking is an approach we cannot live without. Design thinking is important because life as we know it is no longer linear from identifying, diagnosing a need to going to the solution in a linear fashion. We need to ideate, we need to prototype, we need to keep testing, going back to ideation. All these cycles have to continuously work simultaneously. We can only do that in teamwork, and we can only do that in a multidimensional approach. Design thinking is what sets engineering apart from science and technology. Engineering is technology plus design, and engineers have to be team players and multidisciplinary thinkers. And of course, open access is a theme that has taken over all of our education, research and development and innovation. Open everything, because science cannot wait. Technology cannot wait. I know I promised not to talk about the pandemic, but look at what's happening with the vaccine. We can't get it fast enough. And then there are national borders, unfortunately. We wish it was all open science, open innovation, so that we get the solutions to urgent matters, to risky challenges, as quickly as we all can. So now with these emerging themes, approaches, little more into networks of collaboration. What do the Global Engineering Deans Council or the Society for European Engineering Foundation do? Well, we have problem-based learning, CDIO, lifelong and life-wide learning, meaning not continuously developing expertise into one area, but more. And then there is the engineering profession and identity. What used to be male-dominated fields, what used to have segments of the society that are underrepresented, we cannot afford anymore. We need everyone's participation, everyone's creativity, everyone's solutions in the new professional identity of scientists and engineers. We need to be diverse, we need to be inclusive. Math, physics, and computational thinking are no longer in the pigeonhole of science and engineering education. Everyone needs a little bit of computational thinking, a little coding, so that we can have the smart technologies absorbed into our societies. And of course, we do not have classroom teaching and learning anymore. With all of this in mind, we have global student organizations, such as the Students for Engineering Education Development, Student Platform for Engineering Education Development, SPEED, BEST, Board of European Students of Science and Technology, which has become a global organization. It's no longer only European. We have the European Society for Engineering Education. We have the Global Engineering Deans Council that runs programs like Diversity Award in order to promote diversity in technology. With all of these collaborative networks, we're trying to get the whole world in sync at the edge of the envelope. And finally, how must we teach now that we are forced by a micron level organism? When we were thinking globalization had to do with thousands of kilometers or miles, we thought we needed to travel all over the world to spur on globalization, internationalization. It turns out we needed to stay home. We are more globally connected than ever because of this tiny little thing that we can't even see. So how must we teach now? Well, luckily, everything we talked about is relevant, except with the theme of virtualization. The holy grail of how we must teach now is undoubtedly how we should virtualize what is supposed to be experiential learning. Is our infrastructure sufficient enough? Is it sophisticated, evolved enough that we can simulate all of experiential learning on a laptop? Now we have synchronous versus asynchronous learning. We've had the massive online open courseware for the last 2 decades now. We have asynchronous learning. Access to information has been available on open sources. But we still need the synchronous, knowing that this is live right now, knowing that you can shoot me a question, knowing that we can act together, makes a difference in the learner's mind. And of course, the age-old delivery method of face-to-face classroom teaching is getting replaced by online. And the understanding, especially in the parents' minds, is that our students are getting a subpar education with online as opposed to face-to-face. Online education is understood to be something that's a poor replacement, or just a replacement for the best, which is face-to-face. We cannot live with that. We need to cure this online subpar education in order to not only meet the face-to-face that we knew was already faulted. We need to take this challenge take these challenging circumstances and look at them as an opportunity to innovate. Especially in STEM education, virtualization of experiential learning poses new challenges. For instance, our students need to do internships, mostly with the industry. How do we virtualize internships? Few engineering employers have opened up their systems, opened up their cameras, their Zooms and Skypes and GoToMeetings in order to extend virtual internship opportunities to students. But that wasn't sufficient. So as the Global Engineering Deans Council, we pulled together across the universities of the world, and we said, we all have research and development projects going on in our labs. Let us carve out job descriptions suitable for interns and make them available to the students of each other. Now, the silver lining is our students were able to travel all around the globe without visas, without the carbon footprint of taking plane rides, and of course, without the dangers of traveling when there is a pandemic. So the silver lining is we are prompted to innovate. How about lab work? Lab work is ever so important. We need virtualization of labs. The quick way of getting away with online lab instruction is, of course, having one person do the experiment on camera and everybody watch. But that's not hands-on. That's not immersive. That's not interactive. So now we have all these software tools. Most of them are collaborative. They are augmented reality supported. And we have the 3D immersive experience for our students. But there is more. Now with the virtualization, we can maybe have those industrial grade equipment accessible to university students. Flight simulators have been doing this for years. It's too expensive to experiment on real airplanes. So flight simulators have been extremely well developed and sophisticated. Now is the time for us to do the same for all of our engineering students in civil engineering, in chemical engineering, in mechatronics labs. It sounds a bit far-fetched for a lot of universities, but we need to do this in a hurry. And of course, for projects and teamwork, again, we need the aid of software platforms that make it possible for open collaboration so that collaborative innovations can happen. Here is some inspiration. Who remembers Marvin Lee Minsky, one of the fathers of artificial intelligence? Unfortunately passed away some 3.5 years ago. Marvin Lee Minsky is a professor from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and he's famous for some of his quotes. The one that I found most relevant is when he said, "Can you imagine that there was a time when the books in a library did not talk to each other?" He's imagining a world in the future when multidisciplinarity has taken over, collaborative softwares with augmented reality make it possible for every dimension of a concept to become simultaneously obvious to the learner. And he's looking back at our days and saying, can you imagine when the books didn't talk to one another? We need this vision. We need to make that world that he had in mind possible. With that inspiration, let's revisit what it is that we have to do. First of all, where are we? We talk about the fourth industrial revolution. Let us challenge that. When we look at the agricultural revolution, then the industrial revolution, then the information age, the digital revolution, and now Industry 4.0, here is the striking point. The first one came about with an inter-arrival time of thousands of years. The second one, hundreds of years. The third one, the digital revolution, in the lifespan of most of us, tens of years. And now we're talking about industrial revolution, which closely followed digital revolution at its heels. I contend there is no 4.0. This is a continuum. We are looking at disruptive new innovations every day. This is an accelerated evolution, not a revolution that we can wake up to one morning and try to adapt. We as human beings are not gifted with exponential thinking. We can't imagine the future with exponential growth. But what we need to know is that we're in a constant state of fast evolution, and we cannot go to the future in a linear fashion. We need to run all our cycles all at once. We need to pull together, work all together. And for that, luckily our students are digital natives. Luckily they are born into a world that's fully connected. Luckily they're incredibly purpose-oriented. And unfortunately, we're leaving them with all the challenges of the 21st century and the future. We just need to teach them well, the foundations, and let them lead the way. They need to continuously learn, grow, be innovative, and implement the solutions, not just leave them in papers to be cited and measured in H indices or impact factors, but implement them so that we can meet the vision. We need to add value into virtualization, not try to meet the face-to-face value of education, conceding that online education is subpar. It isn't. With virtualization, with virtual labs, we can put theoretical foundations in front of the students' eyes, for instance, something we couldn't do with physical labs, while they're doing the experiment. That's just one example. We need to build value into virtualization of experiential learning. Otherwise, with increasing challenges, we'll fall short. Again, we have the technological background. We need to make sure the globe pulls together. There's no more digital divide in a hurry. We need to make sure we globally are pushing the envelope of technology to make these solutions possible. Again, this is the vision. We need to make sustainability, peace on earth happen, and we can only do that all together. So it is my distinct pleasure and honor to be with you and to share these thoughts with you today. I'm delighted to have addressed this fine audience, and I'll be looking forward to your questions, your comments, and our constant interaction as usual. With that, thank you again for this opportunity to be with you.
Any questions? I hereby invite the audience if they would like to ask any question.
Audience, any questions, please?
Yes, Professor Sirin, I have one question. Looking to this, again, as you told that you will not talk about the pandemic, but looking to this pandemic situation, and we can't forecast how long it will be, but how we can, the core education domain particularly, we should take in a spirit so that the international standards which are reflected in Washington Accords can be addressed in a sustainable way.
I completely agree with you. The international standards on medical trials and the actual vaccine research seem to be pretty well placed. And there's the understanding of the third phase. A lot of nations are tackling this. We need to make sure we don't do anything short-sighted and look at what happens when there is, I think this is a lesson, when there is a global challenge like this, global risk to life like this. What do engineers do? What do universities do? The old way of thinking, of rankings, of measures, we need to listen to our students, look at what is important, look at the impact. And that's why the Global Engineering Deans Council has these thematic collaborative movements. It's not just about the pandemic. For instance, we have a Carbon-Free Innovation Network. There is a Center for Global Public Safety. When there's so much political tension between the United States and and China, for example, the university's research center is between Tsinghua University and Worcester Poly, and my university is part of that, the American University of Sharjah. We're very proud. So we have to transcend borders, old ways of thinking, limited ways of thinking, short-sighted ways of thinking, and pull it all together. So the global networks that we try to build as much power into as possible are liberating as much as we can.
One more thing, recently the federal government of India, the education department, we have declared a new education policies, very drastic reform, we can say the paradigm shift to 180 degree, which emphasizes on the blended teaching learning process. The School of Engineering will teach something about the philosophy or some dance or some applied arts. The School of Science will teach something about the law, something about the performing arts. So how do you think this particular reforms which have been taken here by the government of India in the new education policy?
One of the aims of, first of all, thank you for that. That's wonderful to hear. One of the aims of organizations such as the Global Engineering Deans Council or the Society for European Engineering Education is to learn from each other, to share best practices, but not just that, try and come up with policies or empower engineering and technology and science schools to influence policy making in their regions. If we can't do the global policies in order to advance solutions or accelerate solutions, to empower the universities, because universities seem to be the liberated, independent areas where we're free of politics and short-sighted visions. So this is a wonderful step that you have just described, with multidisciplinarity, with open-minded new professional identity definition. So I congratulate you, salute you, and hope we can promote this through our joint platform, global platform.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam, I have a small question for you.
Sure.
See, we in the universe, we have a life cycle and a chain of activities which are happening. Now, many of these activities and life cycle is being disturbed by the technological innovations and interventions of the human being. So these, destruction that has been taken place, that would be probably leading to all the problems which are related to pandemic, calamities and other things which are happening. So how do you propose the proposed education system would be taking care of, because it need to have a global look into that. Individuals cannot look into that individually. So how do you propose it to recover that losses that has been already taken place, and how long it may take?
I wish I had known I had a crystal ball and I knew when it would end. I would really love to do that. But thank you for that excellent question. It's the question that we're all thinking about. But I think the answer is sort of within the question when you said no individual can look at the whole. Let me take a step back and share with you a video I like to share with my students. The video takes place in some national park where they decided to make sure wolves, wild predator, right? The wolves were getting extinct, and they decided wolves should not be extinct. It's a species on Earth. Let's try to do something about the wolves' reproduction in a protected environment. The minute the wolves were free to reproduce, you wouldn't believe the complexity that even the people who are responsible for the national park could see. All of a sudden, everything else started to come back into balance. So the complexity of these interacting networks of nature, of human beings, of social computing, of technology, and of designs and engineering solutions we put on top of it is not for us to foresee individually. But then again, if we can have smart campuses as models for smart cities, smart urban environments, smart agriculture, then we can truly see experientially the complex interactions and unforeseen consequences of our actions, because otherwise the life cycles as we know it, as you well said, are not necessarily to be observed in a small scale anymore. So I guess the short of it is we should turn universities, campuses into more and more project-based experiential education platforms where we don't have classrooms of one-way information delivery, rather experiential learning and getting our students into the habit of scientific thinking, critical thinking, experiential, experimental learning, and then experiential learning. And in teamwork, of course, not individually.
So, madam, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Madam, Dr. Dingan from BVM, I have a small question for you. We are in the online mode of assessments presently, and what percentage of the plagiarism would you accept for the assignments that are submitted by students, and how do you do this at your campuses?
You know, we're all struggling with that question. We're teaching our students engineering ethics as best we can, and no amount of plagiarism is acceptable. So it's zero tolerance. But online assessment has proven to be challenging for all faculty. We're departing from the traditional mindset of exams, sort of having the students come back with the information that they must have absorbed. Rather, we're trying to measure their ability that they have hopefully developed through the semester to use that information critically and apply it into a project, into a design as best we can. Of course, this is not possible in all subjects, but in a lot of the engineering and technology classes, students seem to enjoy this more also. It's not going to be possible to avoid all cheating, unfortunately, altogether. as long as there are exams. And as Richard Feynman said, students will teach as long as they don't believe learning is more important than grades. We need to distill in them that learning is what counts and not grades.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for sharing your convergent thought. The concluding ceremony of ICRISET 2020 is on the same link at 4 p.m. Ma'am, you are invited as distinguished guest in the ceremony. Kindly stay with us. We will start the valedictory very shortly, within 5 minutes. Audience, stay tuned. We will be back soon at 4 p.m. within 5 minutes. Thank you.
We can continue.
Thank you very much.
We can continue. Or what?
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Mobile phone much.
Respected Engineer Bhikubai Patel sir, Chairman Charuta Vidya Mandal and President of today's function. Respected Dr. M. P. Punia sir, Vice Chairman AICT and guest of today's function. Guest of honor Shri G.T. Pandya sir, Director of Technical Education, Education Department, Dr. Today's keynote speaker, Dr. Sirin Tekinay, Dean of Engineering, American University of Surgery. Dr. Indranjit Patel sir, Principal, BVM and Conference Head. Dr. J.M. Rathod sir and Dr. Kami Shimpi, Convener ICRISET 2020. Dr. Matuza Hulia and Professor Jagruti Shah, Organizing Secretary. Dr. Jankna Shah and Dr. Darshan Dalwadi, Coordinators of ICRISET 2020. Heads of the department, invited guests, faculty members and participants of the conference. Namaskar to all of you. On behalf of BVM Engineering College, an autonomous engineering institute of Gujarat State, we, Professor Sita Patel and Dr. Jankna Shah, heartily welcome you all to the valedictory ceremony of TQIP 3 sponsored Second International Conference on Research and Innovations in Science, Engineering and Technology, ICRISET 2020, organized by Birla Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya. Let us begin the ceremony by worshipping to Almighty with a prayer.
Birla Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya Engineering College, established in 1948, is the only autonomous engineering college of Gujarat affiliated to Gujarat Technological University. With a mission to produce globally employable, innovative engineers with core values, BVM is enthusiastically working towards many areas like research and development, outcome-based education, infrastructure, development, staff and student development, etc. To share and exchange the ideas, identify and discuss options for overall development of women, BVM had organized 2 editions of Women International Conference, namely International Conference on Women in Science and Technology, Creating Sustainable Career, in the year 2016 and the year 2018. Moreover, with an aim to contribute to the nation with fruitful research and innovations in science, engineering and technology, BVM had organized first international conference on research and innovations in science, engineering and technology in the year 2017. Continuing the legacy, second edition of ICRISET was conceptualized to contribute towards technological development of the nation. Due to the pandemic situation, the conference needed to be organized on digital platform where researchers and experts share their thoughts and expertise virtually. I hereby invite Dr. M.E. Shimpi, convener ICRISET 2020, to give the concluding remarks of the conference. Sir, please.
Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Very good afternoon. Due to COVID-19 outbreak, ICRISET 2020 is organized as a virtual conference. The conference is the right place where researchers, academicians, industry persons, and entrepreneurs assemble together, and innovative ideas are discussed, and collaborations in the fields of interest are initiated for future. The ICRISET 2020 provided an exceptional platform for engineers, academicians, scientists, industrial professionals, and researchers from over the world to the present result of their research activities in the field of engineering, science, and management, along with recent emerging fields of engineering like machine learning, wireless networks, embedded systems, IoT, AI, cloud computing, big data, data mining, deep learning, VLSI, wireless and satellite communication, biomedical, instrumentation and control, and many more. We have reached the end of the second international conference, ICRISET, and it is my task to provide some concluding remarks. Major technology, science and management topics were included under the conference theme. We have 7 different tracks along with 30 sub-themes. We have received 450 plus papers from 18 states and other countries. Among that, 347 papers were shortlisted for presentation. We have 435 registrations in the conference, in which 390 authors and co-authors, 45 participants. Out of that, 122 are UG students and 138 are PG students and 23 research scholars. We have arranged 54 parallel sessions for paper presentations during these 2 days. The presented paper will be published in Scopus Index or UGC Care journals as International Journal of Current Research and Review, Journal of Advanced Research and Dynamic and Control Systems, Solid State Technology, Journal of the Institution of Engineers, Series A, B and C, and ADBU Journal of Engineering Technology, as per the guidelines of editors and publishers of journals. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. As stated by Dr. Jankna Shah, International Conference on Research and Innovations in Science, Engineering and Technology, ICRISET 2020, was a 2-day event with an aim to bring science and engineering professionals and researchers to share their recent discoveries. I feel happy to invite Dr. A.K. Verma sir, Dean, Research and Development Cell, Birla Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya, to acquaint us with the conference outcomes. Please, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Okay. The President of the function, other dignitaries, and all the people who are present today, good afternoon to one and all. Dr. Shilpi has highlighted some of the salient features of the ICRISET 2020, and we have come a long way compared to ICRISET 2017 in all the fields. The natural calamity and the COVID-19 have been so intense that the researchers and academicians have to gear up. The R&D team of DVM have been working tirelessly.
Dr. Verma, please unmute your mic. Dr. Verma, unmute your mic, please.
Dr. Shilpi has highlighted some of the salient features of ICRISET 2020, and we have come a long way compared to the ICRISET 2017 in all the fields. Is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
The natural calamity and COVID-19 have been so intense that the researchers and academicians have to gear up. The R&D team of BVM have been working tirelessly, and we have covered an extra mile. In the year 2000, there were only 3 PhD degree holders in the field of engineering and 2 in the field of science and humanities at BVM. Today, we have almost 50% faculties with PhD degrees, and we have put in effort to take the figures to 100%. Our visionary management keeps on motivating all of us, thanks to our generosity of our management. We have to be self-reliant
in all the fields, and therefore we need to have collaborative research. Such conferences will definitely inspire all of us in this direction. Patent is the need of the hour, and I'm sure you are all going to do that. This conference has given you opportunity of presenting your work in diverse fields, right from cloud computing to infrastructure. India's transition from market to manufacturing hub demands quality and research. And research is the only answer. Our defense equipment manufacturing needs our collective and collaborative effort to make our dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Let the novel thoughts flow from all directions. Let us all internalize our divine energy so that our research leads to human evolution, compassion for the humanity. At the last, I, on behalf of BVM R&D team, assure you that your papers will be sent for review and publication in a Scopus UGC journal. Wish you all a happy Teachers' Day. Jai Bharat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Verma sir, for throwing light on the outcomes of the conference. Shri G.T. Pandya, IAS Gujarat Cadre, is currently holding the prestigious portfolio of Directorate of Technical Education, Education Department, Government of Gujarat. Earlier, he has rendered his services for many important portfolios like Managing Director, Gujarat Medical Services Corporation Limited, DDO Rajkot, Supernumerary Additional Collector, Chota Udeipur, Deputy Commissioner of Industries, Gandhinagar, and Assistant Director, Gandhinagar. It's an honor to have Shri G.T. Pandya sir among us. I kindly request you, sir, to share your thoughts with us. Sir, over to you, please.
Good afternoon. First of all, happy Teachers' Day to all. Respected dignitaries, Dr. M.P. Punia, Vice Chairman, AICTE and Chief Guest of the session, Bhikhabhai B. Patel, Chairman and CVM and President of the session, Dr. Indrajit Patel, Dr. Shivpal. I'm really happy to be a part of valedictory function of 2 days international conference on research and innovation in science, engineering and technology. I'm delighted to note that more than 340 papers, research papers have been presented during this conference and 700 plus delegates participated in the events. Organizing such international conference will surely boost the morale of the researcher and will provide appropriate platform for sharing the research work at the global level. Being a part of technical education, Government of Gujarat, it is always support and promote all such activity which enhance the research and innovation. Technical education of current time is not only limited to teaching, learning, but it has wide its horizon to solve the problem of the society, industries, and government sector. In the modern pedagogical philosophy, address all the domain of the conventional teaching, learning process. Research, innovation, problem solving, experiment-based learning, as well as the imbibing soft and professional skill to the stakeholders. The compendium of all this research paper presented in the different domain will be of great input towards the technology and management system enhancement, adding value and direction to the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. Birla Vishwakarma Vidyalaya is one of the premier institute in the field of engineering and technology, taking lead in all front of technical education. I am happy to note that the publication of the research article in the reputed UGC CARE, Scope and journals. I wish that let BVM take a lead in publishing an international journal of good repute from their campus. Let such kind of conference put Indian researcher on the higher level platform. I congratulate principal, team BVM and all participants. Congratulate BVM and RISET team for wonderful experience. More particularly, I am very happy and proud and to sharing this dais with Punya sir. As this first time I am sharing any conference or webinar, online webinar with Punya sir. Sir, I am very grateful to you that this chance you have given to me. Thank you very much, sir. Best wishes to all the participants. Thank you. Happy Teachers' Day.
Thank you very much, sir, for your considerate words. During these few days, various research articles were presented in the proposed themes of ICRISET 2020. Best Paper Award is an attempt to motivate the researchers to further enhance their research for niche contributions. I hereby request Dr. Mehfooza Holia, Organizing Secretary of ICRISET 2020, proceed with the ceremony of Best Paper. Please, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you very much, madam. Respected Engineer Bhikubai Patel sir, Dr. MP Punya sir, Sri GT Pandya sir, Dr. Sirin ma'am, Dr. Indrajit Patel sir, Head of the Departments, invited guests, faculty members and participants of the conference. Very good afternoon to all. I'm very happy to share with you all that these 2 days have set a very admiring benchmark for BVM. All the technical and research papers presented by all authors across the globe have been appreciated by all reviewers and session chairs. I congratulate all the authors on behalf of BVM. All the papers are of very high quality, and from that, 2 top papers from each track have been shortlisted based on the score given by reviewers and session chairs based on the parameters like originality, innovation, depth, quality of content, presentation, system model, application, simulation, experiment result, and question answer section. So starting with civil engineering track, second prize for the civil engineering track goes to paper ID number 231, Bhavya Shah, Dr. Mihali Mehta, and Abhishek Khapre. First prize goes to paper ID number 22, Dr. Dijan A. Pastachia for the structural engineering track. Second prize goes to paper ID 262, Meet Prajapati and Dr. Soni. First prize goes to paper ID 151, Hardik Jograna, Devesh Soni. For computer engineering, IT and computer science, second prize goes for the 2 paper IDs. First is a paper ID 241, Darshil Patel, Shubham Banderi and Kinchal Patel. Paper ID 326 again for the second prize, Trushna Patel, Darshak Thakur and Narendra Patel. First prize, paper ID 303, Nilesh Prajapati, Mohsin Hassan and Trusha Patel. For electrical engineering track, second prize goes to paper ID 381. First prize goes to paper ID 293, Deep Amin, Harsh Patel and Swapnil Arya. For electronics and communication engineering, second prize goes to paper ID 354, A.H. Bansalia and Dr. D. Dalwadi. First prize goes to paper ID 18, Mrudang Goza, Hinsu and Dr. B.C. Goradia. Second prize goes to paper ID 194, R.S. Barod, Hardik Barawala, Amar Patel, Shubham Avasthi and Alpesh Makwana. First prize goes to paper ID 433, H.G. Kataria and H.P. Patolia. For mathematics and humanity science, second prize, that is paper ID number 13, that is goes to Jagdish Chauhan and R.B. Gandhi. For the first prize, we do have a 2 award. They were having the same marks, that is paper ID 141, A. Raghulia and Rekha Mehta, and paper number 221, that is Prashant Kumar Patel. For technology and management, second prize goes to paper ID number 331, Neha Upadhyay, Dhaval Jadhav and V. Bhatt. For the first prize, paper ID number 332, Viral Bhatt, Dhaval Jadhav and Neha Upadhyay. Congratulations to all winners for their outstanding achievement and remarkable personal growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mahfooza, for executing the award ceremony, and congratulations to all winner researchers on behalf of organizing team ICRISET 2020. Dr. M.P. Punia, chief guest of today's function, is specialized in the field of mechanical engineering, renewable energy and sustainable development. He is MTech in thermal engineering and PhD in IC engines from IIT Delhi. He possesses a vast experience of 30 years. He has published 80 plus research papers in national and international journals and published more than 8 books and 2 lab manuals. He has guided number of MTech and PhD dissertations. Dr. Punia is a member of IEI, IST and Society of Automotive Engineers. Dr. M.P. Punia is presently serving as Vice Chairman AICTE since 2017. Prior to this, he served as Director, National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, NITTR, Chandigarh, for about 4.5 years. Dr. Punia is the recipient of Bharat Mata Award conferred by Indian Institute of Oriental Heritage and International Institute of Oriental Studies and Research, Kolkata, in 2014. On behalf of NITTR Chandigarh, he received National Award by the Honorable President of India in 2013 in recognition of outstanding performance in the field of Best Institution for Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities in the country. Dr. Punia also made significant contributions while serving as a director NITTR Chandigarh for the growth and development of technical education in the northern state of India. He is the member of more than 20 government, autonomous bodies and universities in the state of Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, Delhi and Chandigarh while at NITTR Chandigarh. Dr. M.P. Punia is the advisor of Sustainable Business Network of United Nations ESCAPE Business Advisory Council. Dr. Punia assisted to University Grant Commission UGC, National Board of Accreditation NBA, NAC, Consortium for Education Communication CEC, and Telecom Sector Skill Council TSSC of India for their academic achievements. He visited many countries like USA, China, Canada, Thailand, UK, Singapore, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, and Australia. It's our privilege to have Dr. Punia sir among us. I hereby kindly request Dr. Punia sir to address the gathering. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, respected Bhikhu Patel Sahab, respected G.D. Pandya ji, Director Technical Education, State of Gujarat, Professor Indrajit Patel, Director of this very prominent Institute of State of Gujarat, convener of this event, the participants who are participating in this international event, and I was listening that very huge response you people have got, and particularly in the area of research and innovation, how it has to be strengthened for the development of not only in India, of whole world, how we people can contribute. It's very good. First of all, I'll congratulate G.D. Pandya Sahab for giving freedom to institutes in Gujarat. You people are leading, there is no doubt about this one. The performance of technical education in Gujarat, it's amazing, and particularly in the area of innovation and research, you people are dominating. So whole technical education fraternity is being congratulated.
Sri Bhikhubai Patel ji, wonderful work is being done by this institute since last 80 years. In Gujarat, you are sole autonomous institute, and since years you are maintaining this reputation. Please do sincere efforts to go up in time to come, grow, and such type of events. I think for women, you people are doing good work. In one event, I have already joined in your campus. It's an amazing campus, huge vibration, huge energy. And even this event which we are concluding today, it's a great success. We are having a very huge education system in the country, and as a regulator, it's a very serious challenge in front of us, that how our graduates who are coming out from this education system, how their acceptance should be quite high, their acceptance into the industries, into the research organizations, into higher education, how they can be accepted, flying colors. And large number, which I am saying, around 1.3 million students every year they are graduating. Maybe our engineering education or pharmacy or architecture or management, everything, if I am combining all together, 1.3 million students are coming out from our campuses. Our need is they should be able to contribute for the development of the nation in the areas of research and innovation, and the problem which society is facing, they should dominate, in fact. And even at global level also, our population is very large population. World's population is 7 billion, ours is 1.2, 1.3. 7 divided by 1.3, if I'm doing the figure which we are receiving, it is less than 6. It means every 6th person on this globe is an Indian. And we want that our graduates who are coming out in large number, they should not only able to serve our nation, they should be able to serve whole globe. Our values, our sanskaras, our traditions, our confidence, our skills to deliver, everything should be reflected into the personalities of our students. But the challenge which we are having, roughly 30% students who are graduating every year, they are not being accepted by the industries. And many a times we are discussing with industries that what is the reason why you are saying that your graduates are not of your use. First thing which they are suggesting, sir, your curriculum is outdated. Whatever you are teaching and whatever our requirements, it is different. You people are teaching the 30 years back the technology which was there, and we need the advancements which are taking place at global level. Industries will have to compete certainly at global level. The technology, the quality, the costs of the products which are coming out, our industries will have to compete at global level. But they are saying that human resource which you people are developing into your academic institutes, the curriculum is outdated. AICT has revamped whole curriculum just 2 years back. In all areas of our engineering education, starting from polytechnic also, in the management institutes, everything we have revamped, and according to the requirements of the industries, we have invited industries also, we have invited prominent academicians of the country, that you please prepare that curriculum which can give a greater acceptance to our graduates after graduation. Then second, they were saying that practically your students are quite weak. Theoretically, they may be quite sound, but as far as hands-on abilities are concerned, they are quite weak. So laboratory component in curriculum we have enhanced now. Third, they are saying the areas of entrepreneurship, areas of innovation, and areas of problem solving, critical thinking, in these areas students are weak. And it's true also. One assignment we have given to Stanford University, that what are the shortcomings, in fact, how we can make our graduates more competent and more visible to everyone across the globe. Stanford University visited many of our schools also, and then finally into our higher educational institutes. And just sometimes back they have submitted their report. They are saying in 3 areas mainly, the problem solving, decision making, and critical thinking. In these 3 areas, particularly our school going students, 11th and 12th class students, are weak. And weak in the sense they have compared our students' abilities with respect to Chinese and Russian students. And they are saying in these 3 areas, decision making, problem solving, and critical thinking, these areas are weak. And one of the reasons which may conclude that in our school education, probably much freedom it is not being given to our students, where they can put their ideas, where they can solve the problems. Even in family system which we are having, not much importance is being given to children. Whatever it is being done, it is being done by parents. The decision which is being done, it is also being taken by parents. So probably less freedom we are giving. But beautiful part of that report is, which they have submitted, they are saying when once students are entering into our higher educational institutes, in the universities, into the colleges, where lot of freedom is available, lot of time is available to the students for their innovative, implementing their innovative ideas. They can stay into the hostels, they can work in teams, they can work on projects, they can work on computers as a team. So when that type of environment is being provided, when freedom, autonomy, empowerment is being given to our children, the learning curve of our Indian students are much faster as compared to Chinese and Russian students. So our target is basically to give opportunity to our students, to empower our students. And in that area, what we people have done, we have reduced the number of credits in our curriculum, so that enormous space should be available, enormous time should be available to the students, so that they can do these innovative activities, they can bring out their ideas, and those ideas can be implemented for the betterment of the society. So earlier, the number of credits which were there for the students, it was around 220 for BTech. Now it is only 60 credits. So around 60 credits were reduced, and those credits it has been converted into mandatory intensive. Those credits it has been converted into some virtual laboratory component, the hands-on component, some elective, core electives, then open electives like this one. So enormous freedom it has been given to our students. Even one induction program for 21 days for the students it has been started, so that they can have more friendship with their colleagues, with their teachers, and with the society which is in the vicinity. Now internship is mandatory for 6 months. Every student will have to go into industries, and they'll have to learn what exactly industries are doing, what are their requirements, what are their expectations. In their institute, they can do their internship. Even the people who are working on the roadside, actual problems the people who are solving, with them they can work. And finally, they can go into the bigger industries for the purpose of internship. Then we are having the MHRD Innovation Council with us, who are conducting every year hackathons, and where students can participate. Industries are giving their own problems, the government departments are giving problems, and students are giving providing the solution. Even Gujarat is taking a serious part in those hackathons, and even own hackathons Gujarat which is conducting. It is remarkable. Some of the products which have been developed by the students are visited in some of the institutes. It is amazing. They are really solving the problems. So whatever inputs are coming from the industry side, we people are trying to implement that one. Around 35,000 MTech students are being given scholarship every year in the country. And for those students, if some live problems of the industries can be given, because that MTech is for 2 years. 1 year they are studying the theory papers, 1 year they are doing their project work. Now in our this internship policy, we have put those projects as industrial projects. We are not saying thesis now. It is industrial project. So mandatorily students will have to take industry problems, they'll have to provide the solution, and finally when they are presenting into the industry, into the university for their degree, with industry personnel, they'll have to come and they'll have to present that this was the industry problem and this solution we have provided. So certainly confidence level or the quality of MTech will be better, and they are finally the teachers in the country. So the quality of teaching also will be improved. Now we are having mandatory teachers training policy. Every teacher who is entering into this teaching profession, first of all, he'll have to complete some 8 modules of online this thing which is available on SWAM platform. In those 8 modules, how teaching it has to be done, what is the role of teacher, what are the expectations of the society from teachers, how they can do some effective, useful research for the betterment of whole society, how they can do innovation, how they can write the research papers, how they can understand this whole education system. So they'll have to complete those 8 modules. Then for 1 month, they'll have to go into the industry. It is mandatory internship for teachers. And finally, after doing that internship and those 8 modules, will be coming back into the institute, and they'll be doing teaching, but under the guidance of some senior teacher. So for teachers also, it is a mandatory spectrum of 1 year. and around 50,000 teachers. Last year it has been registered. Now the registration is going on. I'll be requesting Pandya Sahab, please do motivate your teachers, particularly new entrants and teachers who are having less than 5 years experience, do join for that mandatory and the training which is needed for the teachers. We are having research promotion scheme. Huge money we are giving to the institutes, to the teachers who are doing useful research. And in that research promotion scheme, some money we are giving for BTech and MTech students also. The projects which they are doing, some money can be spent on the, on those works also. If any student was done some innovative work, and if we want to start a startup, we are giving help of up to 10 lakh rupees through our innovation MHRD innovation cell. So please come forward, take that help, and during that startup, if they are participating in any competition inside the India, or even if they are going abroad, we are giving help for their registration, for their travel. So many schemes we people have devised. Even we are having National Doctor Fellowship, specifically to Gujarat Technical University. Now we have given probably 10 to 15 PhD students, they can register. My suggestion is, now if you see the GDP, our GDP part, the just now the report which came where our GDP is going down, but one area where we are maintaining our GDP, that is our agriculture sector. The farmers are doing wonders, and the problem which is coming, it is with small scale industries, the MSMEs. So my suggestion is the funding which we are giving for National Doctor Fellowship or MTech programs, can you put those students, some of these students, for solving the problems of the farmers, solving the problems of the villages, solving the problems of water, the energy, the constructional activities which are taking place in rural areas, skilling of the rural youth, so that whatever the confidence which our farmers or our villagers are having, their confidence building can be with the help of our technical know-how. And same time, the MSME is the problem which they are facing. If some of the problems of our BTech, which is being taken by our BTech students, MTech students, PhD students, can be given from MSMEs, I think they can also improve, and the difficult situation which we people are facing, it can be sorted out by our technical education students. Then we are having institute innovation councils. In every institute we are having institute innovation councils. We are paying money up to 1 lakh rupees to them for solving their problems of financial. If any product is being developed by the student and if some finances are needed, we people are supporting them. So many schemes we are having for teachers and students, and even in such type of conferences are being organized, just like with the help of TechCube, you people have organized. AICT is also supporting for national events, even free event, and up to 7 lakh rupees we are giving to teachers. If any teacher who is crossing the borders of the country for attending the entrance conference, where he is presenting the papers, we people are supporting. There is no dearth of money. Only problem is some useful proposal should be submitted to AICT. We people are ready to help those teachers who are really doing wonders for the betterment of this whole country, for the students. Finally, I'll be congratulating whole BVM family for conducting this event, and in this tough time through online mode. Many a times I'm thinking that it is being said that doctors are the warriors in this difficult situation. Police people are the warriors, NGOs are the warriors, politicians, just like our CMs or Prime Minister is warrior. Undoubtedly, they are doing wonders. But in this tough time, the work which has been done by teachers, that is also not less in any angle. In fact, all teacher fraternity should be congratulated, and particularly on Teachers' Day, the work which our teachers have done during last 4 months, it is amazing. It may be school education, it may be higher education, enormous work it has been done. And this one example of this one is the event which you people have conducted in this tough time, and many of the teachers have taken benefit of this one. Thank you very much for giving opportunity to me. Best wishes to all. Do wonders. Country is having huge expectation from the institutes like BVM. Best wishes. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Mr. Punya sir. We are lucky to have many projects of All India Council for Technical projects, including Modrops, Research Promotion Scheme, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, MHRD, ICRISET, Then we are selected under the project of impact. So we are mentoring 10 other institutions in the central regions. Currently, we are selected for the training of the newly inducted teachers. So we always take the advantage of all the schemes of for education, and every year we get handsome amount from rupees 50 lakh to 1.4 rupees in the different scheme of AICT. So we highly reciprocate the contribution AICT and government of providing to the faculties for enhancement of a very conducive environment so far as research development and a pedagogical aspect is concerned. We will continue to work with the spirit for the all fund given by AICT. Then we have the second phase, the EQAP, the subcomponent 1.3. So we are also mentoring GC Baswara in this project. And I'm happy to share that every time in the meeting of World Bank, Bila Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya always in top 10 issues who are under subcomponent 2.3 in Gujarat only, and I discovered BVM are the two beneficiary institutions under the EQAP. And again, so far as the spending is concerned, all the money which are given by the various funding agencies with the mentorship of our board, with the mentorship of our well-wishers, we use this money in a very holistic way and use this money for the objectives for which this grant has been selected. We are putting more and more proposals so far as these doctor fellowship is concerned. Even one of our faculty visited Malaysia for this particular training at the University of Malaysia for the education field development. And we had 18 industries and 12 foreign universities to make Bila Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya to fulfill the dreams as well as to meet our vision to produce globally employable, innovative engineers with the core values. Even during pandemic, many of our students have participated in the physical hackathon, national hackathon, and they are ranked in the top 3 teams at the Smart India hackathon as well as the 5 COVID hackathon. We really try to establish a strong and strong ecosystem so far as startup is concerned, so far as innovation is concerned. And now we are moving towards a shift in the R&D, right from the conventional pedagogy to the digital pedagogy, and we are entering into the era of this R&D as well as education. So thank you very much, sir, for inspiring us always in each of our endeavors, Bila Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya and Charutya Vidya Mandal at large. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you, Punya. Engineer Bhikhubai Patel, sir, President, CVM University, Chairman, Charutya Vidya Mandal, and Board of Governors, Bila Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya Engineering College, is a dynamic personality who has achieved newer heights in his educational, business, and social life. His philanthropic engagement has changed several lives and strengthened many organizations. He is engaged in social welfare and having an excellent quality of positive leadership. He is a graduate of 74 Civil from BVM Engineering College. Having a social contribution is quite noteworthy. He has been effectively engaged with 127 Patidar Samaj as the president since last 30 years. He has been serving as the president of Baroda Village Education Trust for last several years. He was engaged in civil engineering profession as a class AA contractor to Public Works Department and also been engaged in residential development schemes in Anand and surroundings. His vision of an ideal university has prompted him to solicit the status of state-private university named as the CVM University, which has been recently approved by the government of Gujarat. Considering his vision and thoughts, the highest body of Charutya Vidya Mandal, the sponsoring body of the CVM University, has appointed him as the president of CVM University. He has been leading the CVM and the CVM University with vision and strong personal values and ethics. We are lucky to have a versatile personality like Engineer Bhikhubai Patel, sir, among us. I very humbly request you, sir, to give your presidential remarks and shower your blessings on us. Sir, please.
Respected dignitaries, Dr. MP Punya, Vice Chairman, AICT, and Chief Guest of Session. Sri GT Pandya, Director of Technical Education, Government of Gujarat, and Guest of Honor of this session. Dr. Sirin, Dean, Engineering, University of America, Sharjah. I am happy to see Mr. Punya and Mr. Pandya, dynamic person, meet on this platform. Delegates and participants, good afternoon. We welcome you all the closing ceremony of today's international conference organized by our premium institute, BVM Engineering College. I take a note of participants from all parts of world, reviewed session chairs and education leaders on occasion of valedictory function of today's international conference on research and innovation in science, engineering and technology. Birla Vishwakarma Mahavidyalaya, known for excellent teaching and learning process, and BVM has published stalwarts in the field of engineering and technology. When the whole world is in eyeing of one cure of the current pandemic situation because of COVID-19, engineers and technocrats will have to play vital role in making the world for better tomorrow. I am happy to note that more than 800 participants took a keen interest in sharing their research and innovation through its conference. We acknowledge the presence of distinguished academic leaders, professionals, contribution from the researchers, and holistic participation of delegates. I congratulate Principal and his team for successful organization of this mega event. Jai Hind, Jai Vidyanagar, Jai Sardar.
Thank you very much, sir, for your warm words and blessings. To express our feeling of gratitude to everyone who has enhanced the splendor of this ceremony, I hereby invite Professor Jagruti Shah, Organizing Secretary, ICRISET 2020, to present a vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Good evening, one and all present here. I, Jagruti Shah, Organizing Secretary, ICRISET 2020, on behalf of Organizing Committee, feel privileged to express our heartfelt acknowledgement and appreciation to many people who have made significant contribution to the inception, organization, and implementation of this conference. Our heartiest thanks to our parent institute, Charuttar Vidya Mandal, for all their valuable support to this conference. We are highly indebted to Honorable Engineer Bhikhubai Patel sir, Chairman, Charuttar Vidya Mandal, for all his guidance and keeping us focused on our conference. We are very much thankful to TQ3, NPIU for their constant support and all the financial arrangement. We are also very much thankful to Gujarat Technological University for their support throughout this conference. Our heartfelt thanks goes to All India Council of Technical Education, ISTE, Institute of Engineers India for all the encouragement provided to the conference. We express our sincere thanks to Commissionerate of Technical Education for appreciating and acknowledging our work. We are very much thankful to GEC Baswada, our mentee institute, for their continuous support. Our sincere and heartily thanks goes to all our national and international academic partners for their unconditional support. We express our sincere thanks to Sri Anil Sahasrabuddhe sir, Chairman AICT, Dr. MP Punya sir, Vice Chairman AICT, Sri GT Pandya sir, IES, Director of Technical Education, for sparing their valuable time and being distinguished guest for this conference. We would like to convey our heartfelt thanks to our eminent speaker, Dr. Alexander, Ural Federal University, Russia, Dr. Sirin, Chair, Global Engineering Dean Council, and Professor Gautam Chattopadhyay, Scientist NASA, for their contribution and ideas which sparked the audience. Our exceptional thanks to all our session chair for sparing their valuable time and giving precious insight on the research paper presented. The success for the conference depends ultimately on many people who provided their sincere contribution in planning and organizing both the technical program and supporting social arrangement. In particular, we would like to thank our paper review committee for thoroughly and timely reviewing the papers. An act of gratitude is expressed to all the authors for their contribution, their scholarly work, which is enriching our conference. Our thanks to all the participants who participated in the conference. We express our sincere thanks to Steering Committee, Advisory Committee, Campus Advisory Committee, all department heads, TQ3 Core Committee for providing constant support. The organizing committee members who have worked extremely hard since couple of months for the detail of important aspect for their conference, we thank you for the same. A heartfelt thanks to entire teaching staff, support staff of BVM. Special thanks to our student team for their rigorous effort for successful management of all the 54 virtual technical sessions. We extend our sincere thanks to press and electronic media for their support during the program. Above all, we would like to thank everyone who have been directly or indirectly involved to support this conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Once again, thank you all for being with us during ICRISET 2020. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining with us. Thank you. Jai Hind.